Welcome into Mac and Mose. Andy McNamara, joined as always by the editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com, Rob Mosley. We are here to preview Oregon's matchup against number 5 Washington. That's right, the unranked Ducks are playing the top 5 Washington Huskies. This is a little bit of a different script this year. Oregon has won 12 in a row. They've been ranked in most of those games. The Huskies have not. The tables have turned a little bit this year. Oregon off to a 2-3 start. Washington is 5-0. A lot of people up in Seattle smelling blood in the water. Yeah,
I mean, they have to have been looking forward to the chance to be a favorite in this matchup for a while. 12 straight for the Ducks. A long streak of even covering the point spread in the matchup. So, but Chris Peterson's got Washington on the right track. He's had a couple years to get things going. This Duck team obviously enduring a transition year. The quarterback play hasn't been what has been the standard the last few years. The defense obviously in a major rebuilding mode, both personnel-wise and schematically. So. Again, Huskies probably smell blood in the water.
So the Huskies come in with a sophomore quarterback, true sophomore, Jake Browning, off to an outstanding start. He was impressive last year. I think the difference, at least on paper going into this one, last year Oregon was able to get pressure on him, make him uncomfortable. He was a freshman. It was still early in his career. Now he's a veteran guy. DeForest Buckner is not walking through that door tomorrow for Oregon on the offensive line. So one of the keys, I think, for Oregon to have a shot in this one is they're going to have to find a way to get pressure on Browning. And they've been without Troy Dye for stretches. They've been without Jalen Jelks. Their two best pass rushers, at least in the early season. Yeah. Something is going to have to break for Oregon on the offensive line if they're going to have any chance of containing Browning and the Washington passing game, which also welcomes back John Ross this year, who Oregon didn't have to face last year because he suffered a season-long injury.
Yeah, I mean, along with Browning being a young quarterback, they played a freshman running back last year and some freshmen on the offensive line, and you're seeing the dividends now of the experience those guys got. And if you're Oregon, you're looking at the freshman playing on the offensive line this year. Justin Herbert in the mix at quarterback now as of this week. If he can get some experience, how much that'll pay off down the road. But for right now, it's Oregon's youth and again this rebuilt defense going against a Husky offense. That's really the X factor. The Huskies have had a quality defense the last couple of years, but the fact that there's top 10 in the country, I think, in scoring offense, it just adds a totally new dimension. So, getting Troy Dye back, which Brady Hoke confirmed a couple days ago, Oregon's defensive coordinator, that Troy Dye was going to be back, is just a huge boost because, he was Oregon's leading tackler the opening game of the season. Essentially, if you go, by tackles per game average, and you don't count the Nebraska game, which he only played a couple special team snaps, he's leading the Ducks in tackles per game. He's a quality pass rusher coming off the edge, but just an energy guy. I mean, this team needs a jolt of energy, and that's a guy, the moment he steps on the practice field and throughout practice every single day, he's dancing along to the music, he's getting in guys' faces, he's getting people fired up. It's contagious. And this team needs a spark, and he's a guy that defensively can provide that.
And playing at home, I think, will also help just from, at least initially, from an energy standpoint. Brendan Schooler, another true freshman we've seen, really feeds off the crowd, it seems. And those guys are going to be key for the Oregon defense to have any chance of stopping Washington. Now, on the flip side, there is still, a quarterback question up in the air. Will it be Prukop? Will it be Herbert? I think there's a good chance that Justin Herbert's going to start in this game. It would be his first college start. Oregon has not had trouble scoring points. They're not at the Oregon tempo they've been in the last couple of years. They've missed some big play opportunities. They're still averaging 40 points per game through 5 games this season. This is a game they're probably going to need 45 minimum to have a chance to beat the Huskies.
And that's, you're trying to tweak the margins at this point any way you can to try to get things going the right direction. And absolutely, the biggest question mark on this team right now is defensively. The problem is, you don't just plug in a guy defensively and suddenly get things totally turned around. The defense is what it is right now. They've got a lot to learn within this system. Personnel-wise, I think they're really hurting from not having veterans from the recruiting classes 4 or 5 years ago to stabilize this group. Relying on some young guys and have had to plug and play some transfers the last couple of years. There's just no quick fix there. So what you got to do is you got to try to put more pressure on the opposing team by scoring even more on offense. And I think even Dakota Prukop would acknowledge that he's a throw or two away in each of the losses from really getting things turned around. Obviously, there was a chance to throw a winning touchdown pass at Nebraska. There was a chance to throw a winning touchdown against Colorado. Washington State, the momentum just really got away from Oregon in the fourth quarter. But, if Prukop's able to connect with Charles Nelson on that fourth down play on Oregon's opening drive, if the offense is able to convert some of those defensive stops in the third quarter into points, and you go into the fourth quarter and it's a close game, the defense plays a little harder, rallies a little quicker to the ball. Maybe offense has some momentum going, and Oregon can try to win a shootout in that game. That game reminded me a little bit of the Utah game last year, where it got out of hand, and it just, if things had gone differently earlier in the game, it might have been a totally different complexion, but it got out of hand, and the opposition just ran away with it. So, only a couple more plays from the quarterback position would be huge. And, whether that's Prukop making a couple more throws because of the pressure of the quarterback competition that was put on him this week, or Herbert coming in and really providing a jolt, that's what they're looking for right now.
Yeah, this is an offense that has to get going. It has to give Oregon a chance to play from the lead until the defense gets squared away, until there's more depth there, until the players completely learn the system.
Yeah.
And playing from behind, that has been an issue all season long. And it just puts a tremendous amount of pressure on the offense to feel like they have to score every single time they touch the ball. And that is just, it's an unrealistic expectation. If the Ducks can get on the board first in this one, and, it's like a tennis match. If you can hold serve, you give yourself a chance. And I think, as we've seen at Autzen Stadium, the Colorado game is a perfect example. Oregon didn't play their best, but they had a chance to win the game. They probably should have. They've got first and goal inside the 10-yard line, turn it over, and lose the game by 3 points. So, this season, while it's disappointing to fans, it's certainly disappointing to players and coaches. I think that, the Washington State game, because of the margin of victory for the Cougars and just the way that game unfolded, I think the narrative is probably a lot more dire maybe than it really truly could be.
Yeah, if you're clinging to hope right now, I think it's that Oregon's not as bad as all the obituaries being written about the Ducks would make it out to be, and the Huskies probably aren't quite as good as they looked against Stanford. I mean, that was a game where everything was clicking right for them, and nothing was clicking right for the opposition. And certainly you try to dictate that if you're Washington. But, Oregon's been in that position too, where, over the years where you really kick somebody's butt and, you got your best day and they had their worst day, and it's the perfect storm. So, hopefully there's a meeting somewhere in the middle, and this can be one of those classic games. I mean, my freshman year was 1994. Kenny Wheaton, Ducks upset Washington.
Did he score?
He scored. Kenny Wheaton did score. I think at that point I had my back turned to the play and I was celebrating with everybody else in the student section, so I'm not sure I actually saw that. But in some ways it's sort of fun, and I think the players can be fueled by being back in that position, being the underdog, being the team everybody doubts, having the chance to pull off an upset. But they're going to have to bring it. They're going to have to find that fuel and rally themselves, because they are in a hole. I mean, this weighs on them just as much as it weighs anybody else.
My keys for this one for Oregon to come out on top, as I mentioned, I think they need to score at least 45 points. They have to get a pass rush on Browning, make him uncomfortable. Turnovers, they didn't get a single turnover against the Cougars last weekend. Washington State ended up with 40 minutes of possession. Oregon had 20. That cannot be the case. The Ducks have to find a way to get an extra possession or two in this one. And they have, the thing that they have no control over is health. They're averaging essentially, losing a player for the year, one a game at this point early in the season, and that's not to make an excuse, but at some point those start to add up. Later in the season, I think you can absorb it a little bit more, because at that point everybody's banged up. But when you lose so many key pieces this early in the year, it's going to take a toll.
You got to score early. I mean, I think that's where I agree with you by far the most. I mean, all your points are good, but by far the most. If there's a strength of this Oregon defense right now, it is this secondary. If you can score points early, and make Washington throw the ball, you might have a chance to force some turnovers. You get in a hole and they just start bashing away with the run game. That's obviously the biggest hole this defense still needs to plug right now, and that's not a winning proposition right now for the way things are going. So score early, try to make Washington get out of their comfort zone and try to force the ball down the field a little bit. You open up your chance for turnovers even more. And by the way, that's the blueprint to Oregon's success over the last 10 years. So why not fall back on it now?
12 straight wins against Washington. That's a longer winning streak than Oregon has against any team in the Pac-12. 12 in a row. I can guarantee you this, that after Saturday, regardless, Oregon will still be unbeaten back 12 years ago wearing anything but the color blue. So,
Touche.
in the meantime, if you have any questions for us, you can get a this is a one-take operation, so we're not going to edit that.
Particularly at this point.
Exactly. Get at us on Twitter. I'm at McNamara UO. He is at Duck Football. You can also comment on Facebook. This is a 4:30 kickoff Saturday on Fox. That's the big Fox National. Hope you can watch the game and enjoy it. Should be a great one. Rob and I will be back here later next week to wrap it up. Till next time, we'll see you.